Hey guys, so today you might notice some issues with our audio. We apologise in advance, this is just because we're having some problems with our software, so hopefully you can still enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to week 5 of the Tea in Tokyo podcast. I'm Saumya.
And I am Ellie. So this week we had our first official proper week at work. We also went to Yokohama and went to Chinatown for Chinese New Year's.
Yep, all that and more coming up right now. Before we start today's podcast, I wanted to quickly mention the passing of NBA legend Kobe Bryant. I've been a fan of the NBA and basketball since I was a little kid. Basketball has meant a lot to me in my life, and Kobe is someone that I've looked up to for most of my life, since I was 10 years old. In school, I would play basketball every lunchtime. After school, in the weekends, I'd play 10, 12 hours. And the shot that I was trying to master the most was the fadeaway. And it was because it was Kobe's signature shot, right? What Jordan meant to the last generation is what Kobe meant for mine. I always appreciated his hard work ethic, his focus. Kobe had a lot of great plays. He had game winners. He had amazing final runs. But it was, especially in the later part of his career, he also had a lot of wisdom, and he was very inspirational to a person like me. So, I'll continue to shout Kobe in my head when I throw something into the trash, except now it'll carry a little extra weight. So rest in peace, Kobe, and thank you for sharing your Mamba mentality with us. So last week we had our training. This week we actually started working. How was it?
I think last week's podcast started with we had our first shifts that afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're going to our first shifts. For me, I was so nervous. My stomach was completely tied up. I felt like I could barely eat. Yeah. I needed to piss every 2 seconds.
Saumya, that'd be vulgar.
It was really bad. But then it was 98% better as soon as I said hi to the person that I was teaching. And we started a lesson. They're super, super friendly. And then you realize they're just normal people and they just want to learn English. And you know a lot more English than they know. So you're automatically the expert. Yeah, how did you find your first minute with people?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember last week after that first day going to my new studio, I was pretty nervous because the person who showed me around was very harsh with my practice lesson. So I was very nervous.
Oh yeah.
And it actually went really well. It was a really good experience. I got along with all of the people, all of my students. They're really like Saumya said, they're you kind of forget that they're just people, and they can select you as a tutor based off of the interests that you've listed. So with a lot of them, you actually have a lot in common with them. So you can spend a bit just talking about your shared interests, which makes a nice atmosphere.
Yeah, true. That makes it a lot easier. And in our learning studio, at our jobs, what they have profiles for our students. So before they even come in, you can see what their interests are, what their hobbies are. Yeah. And that makes it way easier as well because it's super easy to break the ice because you just go, oh, hey, I see you like badminton.
Yeah, and
blah, blah, blah.
Even if you have nothing in common with them, because some of them you just don't. Some of them they might have chosen you because they're interested in going to New Zealand, or I don't know, we've both put what our degrees were in, so they might have a similar field. But it means that even if you have nothing in common, you can look up what their interests are and sort of get ready. I've had quite a few people who are really into rugby, and so they chose me because I'm from New Zealand. So even though I'm not a huge rugby person, I know I know enough to be able to talk with them and sort of break the ice.
Yeah, that's true. And I've had because of my one, it says that I studied science and stuff. So I've had a lot of people who work in the pharmaceutical industry or who are researchers. Yeah, they just want to talk about science, and it's oh sweet, I can talk about that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people who are really into gaming because that's what I put on mine. People who love watching movies and TV shows on Netflix, same with me. So it's kind of cool. It's making lots of friends. Obviously they're not friends because there's a power imbalance because you're their teacher, but you can still form a connection, have a relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I actually need to put gaming as my one as well, I think, because I've talked about science too much in mine, and like the students that I get are pretty intense,
Yeah.
and they want to go like real in depth and stuff, and it's like you can, but it's really hard to teach English like that, I think, because there's just so many things you have to define first, and you end up spending an entire lesson just defining like these, just terms, and you end up getting nowhere. So
Yeah.
I need to change that up a little bit. But yeah, like the first week has been really great.
I had a couple of psychologists, which was cool.
Oh, really?
A psychiatrist.
Oh, yeah, that's
cool
right.
stuff
yeah.
like that. It's been really good. Yeah, we've had in our classes, like I think we mentioned last week, they have a textbook. Kind of went like bad for me on my not bad, but on my second day was when my my actual manager, so like the person who showed me around was someone from a different studio, and then my actual one was there, and so for the first class they like listen in so they can give you feedback. And what happened with me was the person who I'd been preparing for, so like I go early to prep so I know that I'm teaching them properly, cancelled like a minute beforehand. And then, like, literally a minute, like 60 seconds beforehand, they cancelled. But then someone else had just contacted them to, like, turned up and said, hey, is there anyone available? So my manager came and told me, she was like, oh, by the way, your person cancelled. A new person is coming. This is, like, 30 seconds to go before it starts. So I had no time to prep.
Yeah, those are tricky, eh?
And then this is the one that I was being, like, tested on. And then the person, like, went into it. And I was like, oh, so did you want to do the textbook today or something else? And she was like, oh, let's just keep chatting. And I was like, oh god.
Was that your hardest one?
I thought, like, I got along with her really well. Like, that's why she wanted to chat, is because our initial, like, introductions to each other, like, we had so much in common. She was really interested in New Zealand, and I was really interested in the part of Japan she's from. So, like, it was good. It, like, went well, but those ones are a bit harder to, like, teach, like, or, like, to manage, because the conversation can go in any direction.
Yeah, I definitely found that as well. Like, I had one with someone going to live in New Zealand. Like, he's already lived in New Zealand. He's like a student, and he's gonna go there again today, actually. And he said he just wanted to talk. And I mean, it wasn't too bad. Like, you know, you can think of topics. You can be like, oh, so what did you do in New Zealand? Where did you live? All that kind of stuff. But then I found, like, as soon as you reach the end of one topic, I found it hard to go, like, straight into another one, unless like there was a natural progression. But sometimes there wasn't, so you're kind of just thinking, okay, what's next?
I did have that too with mine, like some awkward silences, like, which is where their profile comes in handy, because you can just really quickly go down, like, it has stuff like their travel experience, so you can jump in and be like, so I see that you've been to Singapore, what was that like? But yeah, like, honestly, this teaching has gone quite well. Like, you get students can rate you after their classes. And so far, we've both had, like, only good ratings, which is nice.
What do you think about the fact that we don't have any training teaching English, but we have to teach English? Like, is just being a natural speaker
I think
enough?
The training that we did do was pretty good. And, like, both of us have experience teaching, so I think that helps. I wonder if, like... And also, like, because we're both a little bit older, like, we're not old. Like, we're both 26, like, we're not, like, straight out of a bachelor's. I reckon someone straight out of a bachelor's degree might struggle. Only because, like, you have less life experience, they probably don't have as much experience teaching.
And we've both worked, so we're used to talking to older people as well.
Yeah, like, you know,
That might not
as you guys probably know, when you get into the real world and start working in a full-time job, you are interacting with, like, I don't know, like, people your parents' age, and, like, they're your friends. Whereas I feel like when you're just in university, you might only be interacting with, like,
you know
your
those
peers.
memes where it's like, when you're at work, they have you hanging out with a 6-year-old,
Yeah,
and a 6-year-old's like your best friend and stuff.
It's, like, true. Like,
yeah.
like, you get used to, like, interacting with, like, fellow adults because you're an adult now. Like, so I think that maybe if you came straight out of, like, you know, you're, like, 21 or something, and you've just got a 3-year bachelor's under your belt, it could be a bit overwhelming just having to communicate and interact with, like, so many different types of people, because, like, you get a lot of different types of people as well. Some of them are, like, really, like, expressive and, like, amiable and, like, easy to talk to, but some of them are, like, a bit harder to get something out of them,
For sure.
which probably just comes from a lack of confidence in English, so they're, like, nervous to speak.
I thought it was gonna be a lot trickier than it actually is, but then once you get going, you realize how much you actually know. Like, when they have a question, you just know the answer to it straight away.
I mean, The only thing I still struggle with is you like write notes for them. So like when you correct something for them, if you give them a new word, you keep it notes. And I like to get about 2 pages of notes for them. I feel like that's a nice solid amount for a lesson for them to take home and study. But sometimes, both times when I've had just conversation ones where they haven't wanted to follow the textbook, my notes have been like only a page, which I'm disappointed in myself for.
Yeah, you know what I'm really bad at taking notes for is enunciation. Like I don't even know how to pick that up on someone when they're talking, really.
Oh, do you know what I did the other day? Is I gave the person the word enunciate as like a new word. They were like a higher like level English, and I spelled it wrong. And I realised when I was like writing it up at the end, I was like, that is not right. I think they judged me for that.
Yeah, well, yesterday somebody caught me Googling how to spell relying.
Oh, I always Google stuff. Sometimes I'll just tell them. I'll just say, you know what, I'm going to make sure I've spelled that right, and I'll Google
I was
it.
trying to be sneaky. I thought it was RELIEING. And then they were like I couldn't, it didn't come up on Google.
Oh my god.
Like, it kept coming up with relieving. And then she was like, she saw me doing it, and she was like, oh, like this? And then like on the page, she was like RELYING. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's what. But that one was actually, that's a class that went really well, though. Because that was just like a funny moment, you know? It's not like...
Yeah,
they're not going to think you're an idiot just because of that.
Where like they'll say a word in Japanese and I won't know what it is, and so we'll look up that word and figure out what it is in English, and then I'll be like, you know, you can be like, oh look, you're teaching me Japanese now, and they kind of like that. It sort of like evens out the relationship, so it's not such a power imbalance.
I think the way that we're teaching them English as well is the perfect way to do it. Like a textbook and then actually speaking as well. Because like I was speaking to this guy at my work, one of my co-workers, who said that he was learning Japanese and he had a textbook for it, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, using the textbook is all good and fine, but what he does is he goes to these free like community meetups where it's basically old people that have like retired and now they've got nothing to do, so they're like, screw it, let's just teach English to foreigners.
Japanese to foreigners.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, Japanese to foreigners. So he went to those and he was like, yeah, once you actually start talking to someone, they can tell you, oh, well, this part of the textbook, you know, people don't really say that in real life. Like, say this instead. And it's exactly what we do at our learning studios.
Oh, yeah. I totally see how it's a good way to learn a language. I mean, the one thing I anticipate about our jobs, like, I'm really enjoying it. I love that on weekdays we work afternoons, on weekends we work the full day. But the only problem I foresee with that is that it's, like, constantly changing, like, when you have to be alert kind of thing. Because you're working till like 10 p.m, you tend to like sleep in a little bit the next day because you're having like a really late dinner and like going to bed really late. But then because we're also now working like weekends, it's like kind of messing up the like sleep system. Like, it's not consistent. But that's the only real issue I can foresee with our schedules. I mean, you don't have to do afternoons on weekdays, but those are like the busiest times because obviously these are people coming in after work.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with our schedule. I like having the morning off and stuff. Although we definitely need to make more of a morning.
No,
like,
I love relaxing.
Like, we have bills to pay. We have banking stuff to do. We have shopping to do.
Which is a nice transition.
We should be using this morning.
Into one of the other things we did this week was we paid bills for the first time.
Yeah, which is exciting because you get to use a convenience store to pay stuff. And we're definitely not used to that. Living in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's super convenient.
Except we realised the reason that you have to pay everything at convenience stores is because their online banking is like crap. It's so hard to use. It's like not easy to use. Same thing, hard and not easy. But it's
their online banking sucks. You can't even create an online banking account, really. I mean, you can, but you have to jump through so many goddamn hoops.
And they have
to
send you stuff in the mail, like a code or something in the mail, like a physical letter, to like verify it. You can't just like do it online.
Yeah, I was trying to make an account the other day, like an online one, to check all my banking details, and just can't do it. And one thing that's really weird about signing up for stuff in Japan is they talk about half-width and full-width characters, something that I've never heard about in New Zealand. It must be like a way of writing in Japanese that they've also done for English as well, which we don't do. So, for example, like they'll say, like, write your name in English, and I'll write my name in English, and then I'll say, well, no, it needs to be in half-width characters. I don't know what that is. Like, you can't change it to half-width. So I looked it up online. Like, it's some sort of like programming thing, and there are websites that change it for you, but when you put it through the website and it converts it, It literally changes it to the same thing. Like, it looks exactly the same. You copy and paste it, and then it works. But then sometimes it doesn't work. So, I signed up for, I think it was for, like, our phone plan or whatever, and that worked. But for our internet, that has not worked. So I don't know how to do that. So annoying.
And, like, with banking, because you can't get a bank account online, you literally have, like, this book, like a booklet. And to check your, like, transactions, you have to go into, like, a bank or an ATM, and you, like, put your booklet in, and it, like, stamps the booklet with your transactions. Like, you can't check it online. You have to get it done physically, like, once a month or something.
Yeah, that's so old school and, like, futuristic at the same time. Like, an ATM that, like, fills out your bank book for you, but then it's like, why the hell do you even need that in the first place? Just let me easily connect to my bank online.
Yeah, like, you can't just, like, check it when you make a transaction to make sure, like, it's going through.
Yeah.
So, like, when we get paid, we'll have to go once a month to make sure we've been paid the right amount, kind of thing.
Yeah, and the other thing tricky is, like, in New Zealand, you can just open up as many accounts as you want in your bank. So, like, you know, for example, I have, like, a spending account, a savings account, like, another savings account, all that kind of stuff. Whereas here, I don't think you can do that, or maybe you can, but it's really, really hard. Yeah. So instead, what we're probably going to do is Ellie's account is probably just going to be the saving account, and then my account is going to be the spending account.
Well, why don't like that puts you in charge of all the money to spend? I think you're a bit stingy.
Yeah, but we already have my one as a spending account, so I'm more trustworthy with money. So.
Hey, excuse me, sir.
But yeah, so paying at a convenience store is definitely convenient, but it's also convenient for the wrong reasons. It's like if
you bring in, they email you a receipt in the mail, and then you take that into the store, they scan it, and you literally just like pay at the counter.
Yeah. Like, which sounds super easy, but then you realize in New Zealand everything's just automatically online.
Yeah, so you don't even have to do that.
Yeah, so but that was a new experience, and it was kind of fun, I guess, to have to go to the convenience store all the time to do that. Although what we found last time is that, like, you can't pay using a card. You can't pay using an Netflix card or a credit card. You have to you have to pay with cash to pay your bills, which I don't understand. Like, why would you have to pay with cash? You know, because they have a credit card reader right there, so you can buy food at the convenience store with a credit card, but you can't pay your grocery store bill. I mean, you can't pay your bills with a credit card. Yeah, so that's stupid. There's so many things like that in Japan. They I just keep noticing more and more stuff like that.
Where it's kind of like random, like, rules that don't really make much sense, like, at least to us logically.
Not rules, but also just, like, so many things that are futuristic, and then right next to them is something that's so ancient.
Yeah.
I think it's just because they take so long to adapt things. I reckon the things that are futuristic are things that they didn't have solutions for to begin with, so they went straight for the futuristic stuff. And then for the stuff that they already had solutions for, they just can't get over those habits.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you could use it to reflect on, like, Japanese culture in general. It's how they've managed to, like, preserve their, like, traditions and culture so well. But, like, on the flip side, you have stuff like this.
Yeah, true.
Like, a value for, like, old things, which means that some things are, like, not exactly done the best way.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, actually, speaking of, like, old things and, like, traditions and stuff like that, another thing that's really weird that we've encountered twice now in Japan, which, like to us is just so foreign, it's just so weird, is I was speaking to, like, one of my students the other day, or, like, yesterday, and the one that lives in New Zealand. And, you know, I was super excited to meet him and stuff, and he was great to talk to. But at the beginning, I asked him, I was like, oh, so what do you think of Auckland? And he said, it's okay, but I don't like it that much. So I asked him, I was like, sorry to hear that, like, what do you not like about it? And his answer was that there are too many different races.
Which is the second time we've heard this in Japan.
Yeah, to be fair, the first time wasn't from a Japanese person, it was from an Iranian person.
Yeah, one of the other teachers at our training.
Yeah. Which blows me away, because does he not get the irony of the fact that he's saying there's too many races there? Meanwhile, he's a Japanese guy living in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, you're one of those races.
Yeah.
You're one of those people that you think there's too many of. You know, same with the Iranian person. It's like...
Yeah, she's an Iranian who's, like, travelled around the world and is now living in Japan.
Yeah, she was like, oh, yeah, the good thing about Japan I like is that there's not that many different races. And she doesn't like, you know, like the UK, New Zealand and stuff, because there's too many. And it's like, bro, you're Iranian living in Japan. Like, the only reason you can live in Japan is is because we're like mixing
Yeah.
people up and stuff like
It's
that.
like, isn't it like how people like always say, like often people will be like, e.g. like a refugee or an immigrant, and they'll be like benefiting from like immigration laws, and then all of a sudden they get in the country and they vote for stricter immigration laws. Like that's really common.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, but you benefited.
Yeah, it's like knocking the ladder,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Knocking the ladder under their feet. Yeah, it's such a weird concept to have.
I think it's like a part of it is like it's from how like in a lot of Eastern countries they're like a lot more homogenous, like especially
They are,
Japan.
yeah, true. It is.
And it's weird because like both of us, both Saumya and I, like value like a super diverse culture. Like,
Yeah.
I really like value having like other people's opinions. I mean, it doesn't always work because like you guys probably know I'm like a massive feminist, and a lot of other cultures like kind of like directly clash with my beliefs, but that doesn't mean I don't think that we should still interact.
Yeah.
And like sort of like I'm a big fan of like I think all cultures should just become like a melting pot, and we should all just like absorb from each other, which not everyone agrees with, but like
Yeah,
that's something I'm
and to
big
be
on.
honest, I kind of do get their point of view. Like if you have like the same type of people living together, there probably is going to be less conflict because everyone has the same opinion on stuff.
But I think that's how you need to grow. Like
yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
lead to growth, it doesn't lead to change.
Exactly. The negative aspects of it outweigh the positive aspects of it. And that's the thing, you know, it's the irony that just keeps coming back because they don't want it and yet they're benefiting from it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like I just can't wrap my head around that.
I think we're both like, both of us are too like, when it comes to that, we're like so Western in our views.
Yeah,
like,
true.
As in, like
Yeah,
a Western society versus an Eastern society.
I've lived like the only other places I've lived in is Australia, and like all the media that we consume is from like America and the UK, right? So like we only have that Western point of view of it. But to be fair, I think that's the better point of view. You know, I can see both sides, but I think one is clearly better.
And I mean, I also think the other big thing is if everyone is the same, it's going to lead to like people who are different are going to be like stand out so much more.
Yeah, true. They're gonna be ostracized a lot more.
Yeah, like
As
e.g.
soon
me
as
and
someone's
Saumya are like, Saumya doesn't agree with this, but we're like a biracial couple. So like I would hate the idea that like our future children were like the only ones who were like different from everyone around them.
Yeah.
You know? Like I would hate the idea that they would be ostracized because they had like mixed race parents.
Yeah, and that's probably something that they, like those people that we've met, would probably think is something that's really weird. You know, I mean, we haven't met anyone else that's thought that, so maybe, who knows, maybe it
I
is a
still feel
super minority thought.
We haven't even interacted with that many people, so like 2 out of like this limited pool of people we've interacted with is pretty high.
Yeah, true.
Like
Yeah, I'd actually be interested to find out what the statistics on that is. They've probably polled people in Japan about what they think about that.
I would say it would probably be like a common view in like a country like Japan where like it is a very homogenous
Yeah.
like single race society.
Oh, actually, yeah, it probably would be a common view. Because I've just remembered that documentary that I watched. It's a Vice documentary about... There's like a small population of North Koreans living in Tokyo. So like when the Korean War was happening, some Koreans fled from Korea to Japan and they ended up living here. And the part of Korea that they just happened to be from was the North, therefore they're North Korean. And they sort of agree more with the North Korean policies and stuff. And apparently Japanese people hate them. They do not want them to be in their community, like, especially because like there's even a North Korean school and they sort of teach their students more North Korean values and stuff like that. And it's to the point where people from the community, and these are other Japanese people who are helping them out, have to like protect the kids on the way to school because like people like throw shit at them as they're like walking to school and stuff. Now, yeah, North Korea is fucked up, so you know, I guess fair enough. You don't want people to be learning to be agreeing with North Korean policies, but at the same time, it's probably they're super afraid that there's this like other group that is messing with their culture here.
And I think the way that it's all the same, like the sameness of it all, is probably one of the things that pushes these people from North Korea to sort of like grasp onto the thing that makes them different so much stronger.
Yeah, exactly. The more they push back, the more
they have to like they're forced to sort of like hold on to it.
Yeah.
Like if they'd been sort of like, I don't know if integrated is the right word, but I'll use it. If they'd like integrated a bit more, they probably would have just like naturally I don't know, like enrich the community and being enriched in return, like based off their different values. But
and that's what you see happens in like Western countries. Like
well,
the first generation is generally not that integrated. But then the second and third generations, like everyone eventually has to be integrated. And yes, that integration is going to change everyone as a whole, but
change isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah, exactly.
People are scared of change.
Yeah, you don't want to believe the same crap that you believed like 60 years ago.
I'm sure that like our children and grandchildren are going to see like or hear some of the stuff that we say, and they're going to be like, Jesus Christ, Grandma.
Yeah. I bet you that our grandparents, 30% of what they believed was stupid. Like it was ridiculous, dumb crap. Okay, disaster has struck. The tea in Tokyo has spilled everywhere.
Tea everywhere. Now, let's move on.
Oh, that's right. So the other thing that we did this week is we went to Yokohama and we met a new friend.
Ooh, exciting. Hopefully she doesn't listen to us and think
so
we're weird.
we used Bumble. Well, Ella used Bumble.
So you can use Bumble when you sign up for Bumble. So it's a dating app, if nobody knew. You can sign up for it and you can select that you're looking for just friends. And then it basically just gives you, like, I think it just gives you people of the same gender.
Yeah.
So
although I did get 2 girls yesterday.
Yeah, and
I have a feeling that they might have put their gender as guys.
I've had a couple of guys, and I think the same.
Yeah.
They'd have like a description about themselves, and the way I did it was basically if someone had a description and not just photos, I was like, sweet, we can talk. If they like didn't put any description about themselves, I'm like, how am I supposed to know if I want to be your friend?
Yeah, Ellie's been talking to like quite a few people. Me, I haven't been speaking to anybody, and the reason is because all guys are like douchebags.
And none of them had descriptions about themselves as well. They just have like a douchey selfie.
Yeah, guys put no effort in their profile at all. Like you don't know anything about them, or if you do know something about them, it's that they go to the gym and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone tries too hard to be cool or whatever. So I was just like, screw it, I can't be bothered. I'll just let Ellie make the friends.
Yeah. So we've had
so we did
2 Bumble meeting experiences. The first one, she was really cool to like message online. This is when we very first got to Japan, so this was like a month ago. I don't think I've spoken about it before. And she was like, oh hey, do you want to come to this club in Harajuku? And so we were like too awkward to be like, no, can we not go clubbing? So like I got Saumya to come in case she was a murderer.
Like I'm not someone that's against clubbing. I don't mind going occasionally, but
I somewhat am.
yeah, Ellie is.
Only because I would prefer to be doing something else. Like, if I had to choose between clubbing and like just chilling out at a pub, I would choose to chill out at a pub. Like both involve drinking, and I only enjoy clubbing when I'm super drunk because I am a very bad dancer.
Yeah, so I like just going to like a pub as well, or just staying at home over.
Yeah, like having drinks at home.
The only time I like going clubbing is if I'm with like people that I know. So this one, like the fact that we're like a big group of people that I know. So the fact that we were meeting someone new there, I was like, oh god damn it.
Which is like the worst place to meet someone because there's like loud music. How are you supposed to actually talk to them?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so we went out to this club. It was like you had to pay like the equivalent of like $20 to get in, and that was the discounted price because we were on the list.
Yeah, she said she'd put us on the list. We walked in. Ellie wasn't even on the list.
Yeah,
I was on the list.
They had Saumya, but not Ellie.
Yeah.
And the girl was like, oh, you know what? Like the lady checking the names was like, oh, don't worry, I believe that you're on the list. So she gave us the discounted price.
There was probably like at the end of the night. So when we first went there was probably only 10 people in that club.
Yeah,
at the end of the night, there was probably 70, but I would say 60 of them were on the list. Like the list meant nothing. The list was the amount of people that person managed to bring into the club.
Saumya thinks that she was like a person who works there.
Yeah, I'm convinced that she works there.
Because we didn't really talk to her.
If you've ever been to like a big city, like I experienced this in the Gold Coast. There's so many girls that just walk around town handing out like these flyers for clubs because they're like, oh hey, I'm gonna be at this club, you should come, blah blah blah. And like those are for like the most empty clubs and stuff.
Do they get like commission on the entrance that you pay?
Yeah. I have a feeling this person did the same thing except with Bumble. Like she used technology to her advantage.
Yeah, like we went clubbing with her, it was fine. We snuck away early and messaged her and she was like, oh, it was cool to meet you. And I don't know, maybe I'll meet her again one day, but probably not. This other girl though, we were kind of worried because of this experience with this first girl. But this girl was like keen to meet us in Yokohama, and we went to the Chinese New Year festival.
Yeah, she was great, and we went to the Chinese New Year's festival. Now, we didn't even know it was Chinese New Year. Yeah. She was just like, I'll take you to Chinatown, and then when we got there, she was like, wait a minute, why the hell is it so busy? Like, it's not usually this busy. And then, of course, we realized why. And yeah, Chinese New Year's was awesome there. We had like She said like the 3 things you need to try was palm reading, roasted chestnuts, and like Chinese soup dumplings. I had the Chinese soup dumplings. Ellie couldn't because they're not vegetarian. They were delicious. Those were amazing.
Yeah, they looked good.
Yeah, I want to go back there. We got roasted chestnuts, which I didn't really like, but
I mean, they were pretty overpriced, but I felt like it was something that, like I wanted to do because it's like the thing you do when you're there. I also got this like a skewer with like strawberries that were like basically like coated in like syrupy sugariness, which was good.
yeah, that's right. That was good. Yeah, and then the palm reading we didn't do because screw that. Like,
well, she
we don't need that.
The girl we met told us that she'd been there before with like her family when they came to visit, and she like one of them got a palm reading, and like when they said that they needed someone who speak English, they were like, oh yeah, we have someone who speaks English, and then they took them out back to like this real dingy room, and like it was a really awkward, like they didn't even read their palm, they just like asked them about their lives, and then they had to pay like $10.
Yeah, so screw that. We didn't do that.
But we did two.
We walked around, and we also went to like a shrine there as well, like a temple.
Oh yeah, we went to the
that was
temple.
nice.
We went to, there's like in Yokohama, there's like these famous, so Yokohama's famous for its Chinatown.
Yeah.
Because it was Chinese New Year, there was these cool like dances with like dragons going on, which was cool. And then we continued walking to, there's like the red brick warehouses.
Yeah, go to the red brick warehouses if you're ever there. We were told that that's the perfect place to get souvenirs. Because apparently everything there is made in Japan instead of something that's made in China.
So they're like these warehouses that are like quite old, and back in the day they were famous because they were like very Western compared to everything else in the area. And now they're just like, they've got shops inside of them. Yeah,
so if you walk around the bay, you can't miss it. And we also went to the ferry terminal because on top of the ferry terminal, they've turned it into like a park. So the roof has like grass on it, and it's like a nice place you can walk. You can see the bay.
Yeah, so you get a really good view of like the city skyline in Yokohama.
The lights around the bay look really nice. Like, we definitely need to go back at night time.
Although, we were planning on going to the Cup Noodle Museum. So, we've tried twice now to go to the Cup Noodle Museum. This time, we, like, checked when it closed, and it closed at, like, 6 or something. So, we got there at, like, 4, thinking, like, oh, yeah, 2 hours will be enough time.
And our new friend, like, she dropped us off there.
She was like, she'd already been.
Yeah, she was like, I've been here, like, 20 times, so I'm just going to drop you off. Have fun, guys, and then she left.
Which, like, we knew, like, when we'd made plans with her, she was like, oh, I'll show you how to get to the Cup Noodle Museum, which was cool. Like, she was super nice. And we're hanging out with her again in a couple of weeks. But, yeah, so we got to the Cup Noodle Museum thinking that it was, like, open till 6, but they stopped selling tickets earlier in the day. So we ended up just wandering around Yokohama until nighttime. And, like Saumya said, it was, like, very aesthetic and, like, fairy lights everywhere. Beautiful, like there was like a cool like roller coaster mini theme park which we're gonna go to. Yeah, there's
a mini theme park which we definitely need to go to. Yeah, well that was basically it, going to Yokohama. That was our week 5.
Making a friend.
Yeah, we made a friend. But yeah, we've been talking for way too long, so that's it. So thank you so much for listening to week 5 of our podcast. Remember, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, and wherever else you find podcasts.
Yeah, and if you'd like to follow us on social media, our Twitter handle is spelled T-E-A in Tokyo. And on Instagram, we're same, T_in_Tokyo.
Yep, that's it. All right, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.